Now we will speak to the next speaker, who is Jenny again, and she will speak about something very interesting. The title is Swedish Perspective and the Case of Transferring Wood. So,
I try to keep to the subject.
You try to keep the subject. And to 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I'm going to do it.
Well, I will be the first person you throw things at.
Okay.
Well,
chocolate is okay.
chocolate is okay. Well, I wait to get my PowerPoint. Well, you see the title, but of course I need to actually point out some differences between Sweden and Finland as well. And I will just start my watch, so please don't take time until now. Well, at first I would like to listen to all of this presentation. It's quite easy to believe that, well, is it any future for reindeer herders? I will give you a short story from one of our elders. They told me that we shared our land with farmers. The farmers disappeared, but we're still here. And then come the water turbines and the water mills and so on. And they just put the water turbine there and then they left. And then the windmills and mining came. Well, the price has gone down, the mining is down, but we're still here. And we're going to still be there in the future. That's my aim, and that's why I'm here. Not only to point out the problems, actually to find solutions. But first I will get through this very fast. Reindeer herding in Sweden. This is a map of the communities in Sweden. As you can see up in your left, well, your right side, it's marked with orange. That's what we call Coexistence, Samernas. It's communities when you need a permit from the state in order to reindeer herd. The other communities, it's 44, is based on customary use. Only in Sweden, reindeer herding can only be exercised by the Sami, and it's restricted by law. 51 communities all over, 44 with non-license and 9 with license. It's traditional use. Well, it's about 50% of the Swedish surface, but we don't have any specific line because the borders of the reindeer area is not, the state and the Sami is not agreed what the line is to put down on for real. So this is all up to court to decide which property actually is reindeer herding area, but no one wants to go to court because it's quite expensive. Well, if you look how many reindeer herders we have in Sweden, this is herders, not companies. So you can see in the northern part of Sweden we have the most, 4,000 about. In Västerbotten county where I'm from, it's 380 herders. In Jämtland, Dalarna, about 290. So as you see, we have most of the herders in the northern part. And the difference here is that in the northern part you have smaller units. If you go down south, you have bigger units within the herding companies. So every herder owns few reindeers in the north and a little bit more per reindeer herders in the south. And one thing I want to mention is that the Sami in Sweden, reindeer herders, might listen to I did forget the names, that we are bad in business. Actually, it's restricted by law that the Sami community can't do anything else than herd. So we are not allowed within the community itself to do anything that reindeer herd. We couldn't have tourist companies in the community name. So it's restricted by law, so we're not bad in business. I just want to point that out. A reindeer community in Sweden, this is the typical reindeer community. It's not a small village. It's the area from the mountains to the coast. And often from the mountains in Norway The Swedish reindeers are in Norway during summertime, as well as you have Norwegian reindeers in Sweden during wintertime in some areas. Also based on historical use. As you can see, we use our land differently. We have been in it before, and this is the same if you look in all Sápmi. We need every area has its purpose. During summer and fall, we are in the mountains. We are moving towards the coast within the winter. This means when it comes to carnivores, we have different problems during different times. With bears, for example, it's in the mountains during calving seasons. That's our biggest. The wolf, the lynx and wolverine are the biggest problems during winter time. Well, a few facts in Sweden then. We saw Anne present the numbers of reindeers in Finland. In Sweden we have about 200 to 300,000 reindeers, winter herd. And this number has been for the last 100 of years. As you can see, there have not been any, there have been, of course, dips and tops and downs, but about 200 300,000 reindeers every year. The difference is those reindeer killed for sale. The number is decreasing even in Sweden. As you can see, 40 to 60,000 are killed for sale. And we have about 100 companies, reindeer herding companies. I don't like to use that word, but okay, I use it in this discussion. And a company is a family, often. But I have 30 to 65, even more. Who knows? It's a big gap between these. Are killed by predators every year. And you can see it's the same numbers as killed for sale. So I would be closer. Well, when it comes to Sweden and how we regulate it, it's quite hard to get a protective license for protective hunting. And I would like to mention, because this Human Rights Rapporteur, the Indigenous Rights Rapporteur of UN, has criticized both Finland, Norway and Sweden on the lack of management plans for the Sami reindeer herding. Not for the carnivores. Of course they have criticized for that as well, but we don't have tools to manage reindeer herding in existence with large carnivores. And I would like to point out, in Sweden, reindeer herding and Sami are indigenous people, and Sweden needs to deal with the obligation to both large carnivores and the obligation as Sami as an indigenous group. And Sweden has failed in both, frankly. But they have an ambition, as I told in my welcome statement. In 2014, the reindeer herders shouldn't accept more than 10% losses. Well, of course, how this will get together, we will see in a few years. We're not there yet. We just started to work. Well, when we talk about wolf and wolf in reindeer herding areas, I would like to point out some of the problems. It's not actually only the killing as we have heard before. We have short days during winter time. Sometimes we just have 1 hour sun, if so. Our reindeers doesn't have the time to graze in peace. They lose weight, the condition for the reindeers go down. And as all animal owners, we care for the reindeer. That's our obligation. Me as a reindeer herder, I have an obligation towards the reindeer. I am there to protect it. Well, and we also need, they mentioned it before, is to gather all the reindeers. Because the wolf is the only predator that actually split the herd because of its way of hunting. And this we have seen of only one wolf within the herds. So how does it go when you have whole pack of family. Well, we haven't experienced that so much yet, but I guess the time comes for that as well. Well, I would like to talk when it comes to transferring wolf. I need to check my time. She hasn't started. Okay? Yeah. Oh. Then I can take a breath so I can talk. Well, I would like to point out one example that actually has a quite good ambition from the start, but was not that successful in the end. And it's G8210. I will not give the wolf a name. But this is the area of Junsele. It's quite famous wolf. The government, the state, pointed out that the wolf, which has been transferred like 3 times before it ended up in Junsele, should try to be there. And there was quite a long time of work during autumn with the herders, the Swedish EBA, the Carnivores and SSL. We worked quite, I think we spent like 20 meetings during phone meetings and physical meetings, trying to get this to work. We were taking protective measures such as being outside. Someone pointed out with the woman speaking before me, the herders were out 24/7. The chairman of the community wasn't home for 2 months. He was in this area protecting the reindeers. Well, of course, in the end, all of these preventive measures didn't have any effect. Still, the reindeers were all over the place. There were killed reindeers. There were ongoing damages. So we went to court. Of course, I'm a lawyer. To some extent, we always end up in court if you have a lawyer with you. And we went there. And we get, at first I will mention, we get a permit for licensed hunt, or protective hunt. And then it's appealed and we went to court. So I'll do it in right order. And it took 3 years from the first court, until it went appealed again, until the court decided that it was right to give this hunting permit. And these 3 years was a dead hand. The herders couldn't do anything. So when we have tried, we have documented, we have worked even though I would say we weren't satisfied with this at the beginning. We said we'll not have this, we're not accepting this, but we accept the fact that we need to try, and we did. But is it really successful if it takes 3 years of dead hand over a case? And how do I go to my members to motivate again to work this hard if you have a dead hand on everything? So, lesson learned by that, the reflection, I will get to that. How do we work forward? Well, you need to say 3 questions. Transferring wolf, meaning from northern part of Sweden down to southern part of Sweden. Is it possible? How to do it? And how much damages, losses are acceptable? Well, is it possible? Well, we have tried, we have seen some successful. The last one I'm looking at, Leander, she knows it was 24, last year, from Gällivare to Tiveden, wasn't it? Yeah. So of course it's possible, and I will not go into how to do it proper for the wolves, say, but is it possible for the reindeer herdings? Well, it's possible. We will not do it as we did it in Junsele. We need to do it faster. We need to do it because that's one of the key issues. You need to have a fast decision. You need to have a plan that's clear, that everybody understands this is going to happen. And then you need to do it. And of course, this is animals. You don't control animals in the way that we would like to do if you look fast. But of course it's possible, to some extent. And how to do it, then I leave it up to you. You are the professionals, meaning the scientists and those who are set to have management plans for the carnivores. That's not my responsibility, how to do it. My responsibility is to secure that the loss and damages for my members isn't that big. Well, how much damages are acceptable? And we have stated from our organization and our herders that 5% is our business risk of losing reindeers towards carnivores, including wolf. So that's our message. The government has said maximum 10%. So that's quite clear. Well, if it's so simple, then it's going to be quite smooth. Well, I would like to say, to end this, I have 4.5 minutes with some reflections. Because we're standing here, I said during the discussion session that, no, I didn't say it because I'm going to say it now, so okay, you don't know what I mean. But how to if I could challenge you to actually do things otherwise, haven't we tried to do it in one way for a very long time? And I would like to say, large carnivores, looking at the maps based on historical facts, has always been within the reindeer herding areas. The Sami, the herders has accepted it. The Sami hasn't, when it comes to the wolf, it's the state that had put the regulation for hunting and so on and so on. So this is also, think about it, you might invite us with our knowledge. How did we manage several years ago to still have large carnivore within the reindeer husbandry area? They were there, we were there, the amount of reindeers were the same. How did we solve it? Invite us to consult us. Use the traditional knowledge together with academic knowledge more. We know the nature. Trust us. We talk about distrust. I would like to say we distrust the authorities, but the authorities distrust us to some meaning. Sometimes. And let the knowledge go hand in hand. You might find something new. I don't know. But also we need, if this is going to be successful, as I pointed out in the welcome speech, we need to have mechanism. Meaning, if you want to involve us and let us be a part of the solution, we need personal and economic resources to be within, because, such as mentioned before, we are reindeer herders. Going to meetings and meetings and meetings and sitting down, meaning that we are leaving the herders, and it costs us money. But consult us more and make mechanism for that. That's coexistence for me. We're not only facing a risk of losing our reindeers. Actually, in Sweden, reindeer herding is the core of the culture, of course. It's also needed to keep the rights valid. Today we start grazing, our rights will be lost. If we don't practice, in Sweden, meaning practice reindeer herding, because of all of these industries, forestry, predation, we're losing our rights. Not tomorrow, not on 10 years, but 30 years or so, the court has stated. And I think we have something in Sweden, Norway and Finland to be proud of. We're still nomadic herding, even though we're using technology, of course. But that's unique in a worldwide perspective, and we should be proud of that. And I would like to say, having a lot of people in Canada at the moment, in reservoirs, will the world afford to lose another culture? Just think about that. For us, it's rights. It's not industry. And you need to keep that in mind as well. That's in the stake for us, losing our rights. Well, I will give you this. Well, I keep in time. Yeah, good for me, you don't need to throw. I would like for you to have Instagram. Go to the tag Aktavuda and follow young reindeer herders in their everyday life. This is 20 reindeer herders youngster, our future, who has documented a week each in their life. Great pictures. The text is in Swedish, but the picture shows what we can't explain in words. Well, I tried 20 minutes, a very short time, to solve any problems. I'll try to give you some inputs. And with that, I will say thank you.
Okay.